Today we are sending files to Amazon Glacier using PowerShell. Let's go on air. Hey everybody, this is Tom's Tech Show. My talk show is also still going on. If you want to head over to Tom's Talk Show, do a search for that on Amazon. There's also a link in the description of the video below where we talk about politics and all that kind of stuff. I kind of broke that off from this channel here just because I wanted to leave this one tech-oriented, just to be able to keep monetization and fun things like that, because YouTube, even though there was a new federal ruling that says their government is not supposed to interfere, but we'll see how that pans out. But for right now, we're dealing with taking some files. You want to take some files, you want to send them up to some very inexpensive storage, and that would be Amazon Glacier. So how do we do that? Is it hard? Is it, what do we need to do? So let's go and look at some scripts that are very simple, very straightforward. First, the first thing I do in these is create a vault name that is basically based on today's date. So I'm going to year, month, day as the format. So it's going to be vault-year, month, day, so I know what day all of the files were uploaded. I can keep track of those. And then when it gets time for, purging some of the old archives, I can go, okay, we're going to keep one archive from a year ago, and everything past that, older than that goes away, so you can kind of clean those things. I keep in, the yearlies and maybe the quarterlies set up for, like accounting purposes and things like that. What happened way back when, what was there kind of back then. So then we're going to, of course, we need to import the PowerShell module. And then I have my credentials saved here so that it can be easily recalled. Just load that login basically into Amazon. Then I need to set a region. So US East 1 is usually the newest Amazon code, and also one of the least expensive areas to put code into. You don't want to do California. If your whole point is saving money, then California is out, because that's the most expensive place to put anything in AWS, at least in the United States. So it is just some simple things in the script. I'm going to write host the Glacier name. Then I'm going to we need to create the vault. So I just need simple command, new Glacier vault name, and then the Glacier name that I put up here at the beginning. Boom. Right, so that's pretty easy. And then I can just do write GLC archive to that vault name that I had and this folder path. So I'm taking all these files that I've actually backed them up using Veeam, so they're dropped into this archive folder at the end of every month. So at the beginning of the next month, all these files are moved up into Glacier while other backups are running. So there's like a separate folder for archive. There's a folder for weeklies, and then the end of the month is my archive, and then that gets sent up to Amazon Glacier. So, and that's all you did. That's it. You're kind of done. Once you run that, it starts pushing all the files up there. It'll give you a little progress bar, and then get you that list of files all up in Amazon Glacier. Now, one thing we need to be able to do is, it's kind of clunky a little bit. You need to, once you get all the files up there, you need all of the archive IDs saved and stored locally so that you can go and retrieve those files. So that we need to do this here, the get vault inventory. So we need to create a job, because we're going to be creating these jobs to process things. Start GLC job. So we're going to start a Glacier job on the vault that we had named back then. And the job type is just going to be inventory retrieval. So we send that job up there and we let it chew. Now these things take, since it's Glacier, nothing happens fast. So it can be, 4 to 5 hours before you get that back. But you can check the status, whether it is done or not, by doing a get GLC job, your vault name, and then since we saved that to job value or variable, then we can do job ID, job.job ID, right? So we can get the job ID that we can pass to this thing, and that will give us the status of what is going on. Then at the end, once we do, we get from the job, we can do an archive retrieval of the archive ID. At the end, it will give you an archive ID that it's set up there. And then we can do read output. You do the same thing for retrieving an item from the vault and also retrieving your inventory from the vault. So we're going to read Glacier job output, the vault name, my job ID, and what I'm pulling back. In this case, I'm pulling back this one I'm pulling back a test image, but if I were doing the inventory, then I'm just going to I save it as glacierlog.csv. So in that Glacier log, we'll have things like this. It'll have the file path of what was put up there, the archive ID, and the checksum. So we need the archive ID, which is the second part, in order to pull things back and get things out of Glacier. So here, if we're going to retrieve something, archive retrieval, I need to get a file from there. So I'm going to set a job again, start the job on the vault, and the job this time, instead of inventory retrieval, is going to be archive retrieval. So that's going to actually pull a file out. And then this is just a made up garbagey ID, but you'll put the actual ID from your Glacier log here in that spot, and the description of what you're doing. Then that'll help you to track them. Then you can read once that is done, you can still use this get glc job command again to test and see if that job is done. Once it is done, then you can do read job output from the vault, job ID, and save it as that file that you want to name it. It could have been an image file. It could have been something else. In this case, it was an image file, just one of my kind of a junk image captures, that I did just to put some things up there quickly, stuff like that. So you're really working in almost an offline mode with Glacier. So you connect to the vault, you send files up there. Then to get information about the vault, you have to submit a job request, and then that job request goes and starts chewing on information. Can take 3 to 4 hours to get that information back. Then you go back, and once it's done, then you go back and check and get, okay, it's done. Now I get an ID. I can go back and pull the information out of the vault and save it so that I can see what data is in there and process it. So, and then it's the same way with getting items out of the Glacier archive. You give it the job, it goes and chews up and gets the files and takes them from the very slow storage, obviously, and puts them onto faster storage for you to download them with the read output command. Okay, then in the end, say you want to get rid of the vault, you can get your inventory file, which I save as glacierlog.csv. It's the CSV file. So then we need to read that into a list. Then for each of those items in the list from the vault, we're going to remove the archive and not confirm it. Just let it go, remove them all. And then once that's done, then we can remove the vault from our settings in AWS. Now, sometimes this takes a while. So if a vault has been accessed in a certain amount of time, then it will not allow you to delete it. So you may have to delete all the items from the vault and then wait 24 hours and then come back and remove the vault. That's what I've been most successful at doing it that way instead of trying to just do it all at once, because things in Glacier don't happen fast, right? It's kind of called Glacier, kind of stuck, for a reason. It's slow, it's cheap. I think it may actually be pulling in and reading tapes, right? Putting things in just like a big, huge tape, vault like you see in movies where it moves the little, head around and pulls the tapes out, something like that. So So those are all the basic commands that you use when you're doing stuff with Amazon Glacier. And it's pretty simple. I mean, there are only fairly few commands. Create the vault, remove the vault, add files to vault, get the list of files from the vault, and retrieve an item from the vault. And so very few commands that are needed to work with this. But it's so far it's been going pretty good for me. I've been able to push a lot of data up there, and it's cheap. It's offline. It's not connected to the key here for me when I was doing this is it's not connected to my regular backups. So this pushing it kind of manually this way is keeping it as a separate area to help with like malware protection, ransomware protection, all of those things. So this isn't automatic, right? It's not something that's going to be chewed up. Like if your backup system, if a file in your backup system gets infected and you start restoring things from that, you can spread that other places inside of your environment. So if you have this, if it's not 100%, right? If you are actually backing up systems that are infected with malware, so scanning before you save them is also a good idea with some application like we use Malwarebytes. There are many others that are fairly good. Scan them before you send them up. Then that also confirms that there's nothing wrong with them. You can put them up in Glacier, lock them up, and then, like I said, I'm doing different dates on every time I upload it, so it's not all in one vault, so I can, glean it off at the end and maintain my archives quite well. All right. Well, there we go. If you've got any questions about Glacier and PowerShell and how to get things up there and get things back, just leave a comment down below. And thanks for watching. Take care.